Welcome to Shocker Speakout Fall 2021. My name is Jack Brand. I'm a lecturer at the Elliott School of Communication in Wichita State University. It is my pleasure to open up this event, which we hold every fall and spring semester to showcase the public speaking abilities of our Comm 111 students, as well as the GTAs who teach most of the Comm 111 sections. And we have had some absolutely fantastic speeches so far in our preliminary round. I'm excited to introduce those to you. First, I'd like to say thank you to Sandy Sipes, who is here with us in the audience today. She is the Assistant Director of the Comm 111 program, and she made this event happen. Also to Dr. Lisa Parcell, the Director of the Comm 111 program, working tirelessly behind the scenes. Some other people I would like to thank: Dr. Min Zhao, one of our judges who is joining us remotely, Professor Kevin Hagar, who is here as one of our judges, as well as Instructor Eric Wilson and Director of Outreach for the Elliott School of Communication. Thank you all very much. And I hope all of you can, wherever you're at, give them a good round of applause. And then one other very special thank you and a round of applause for Jessica Newman. I believe your title is Superhero in Residence, is that correct? Pretty close, yes. Who made everything technologically happen so that we could share this with you today. Without further ado, we're going to get started. We will introduce the speakers one at a time. We'll have some brief placeholder slides while we transition the speakers so that we can do our social distancing measures to keep everybody safe. Those of you who are joining for Comm 111 and who may have an extra credit opportunity associated with this, your instructor has probably already given you that information, but the link to the form that you need is in the comments section on the YouTube channel on which you're watching this presentation. So our first speaker, Grace Lang.
All right, so everyone in this room and those of us who are watching at home on YouTube all come from various backgrounds, different experiences, and certain circumstances that have made us to the unique individuals we are. No matter how different we are, we all have one shared experience, and that is our educational upbringing. For most people, unless you are homeschooled, have gone through the K-12 system and have had teachers that have given you either really good experiences or really bad experiences. For me personally, in high school, I had two really good experiences with some of my teachers, and one of which I'm still really close with to this day. He was my track coach, and so I spent a lot of time with him, especially during track season, and he would tell me about the financial struggles of being a teacher and how much he really has to put into it. I would also see the work he put in while he was clocked in and while he was clocked out. It was almost like he was working around the clock, so much so that he had to take vacations just to get away. As someone who's interested in going into the education field, it is very disappointing to see how little these teachers are paid. So, based on personal experience and extensive research, I would like to persuade you that teachers in the K-12 education system should be paid more. I'll present three main points. First, I'll present the problem with the current wage that teachers are paid. Second, I will present a solution to this problem. And third, I will visualize my solution in place. So first, as I just described, there is a problem with how much teachers are currently paid. According to payscale.com, cited on November 6, 2021, it was reported that the highest average salary for a high school teacher is a mere $51,000. Now for Kansas specifically, the estimated cost of living is $48,000. That gives teachers only $3,000 just above the cost of living. In addition, teachers have to buy their own school supplies. For classrooms of up to 30 students for 7 periods a day, that adds up. I don't know if you've ever done your own school shopping for yourself or for your kids, but I know my mom complained whenever she had to buy just me school supplies, let alone me and my sister. Additionally, the small income for teachers makes it very difficult to live comfortably. As a matter of fact, Samantha Cleaver, in 6 Proven Benefits to Increasing Teacher Pay on February 10th of 2020, found that 18% of teachers in the U.S. have to work second jobs just to support themselves. Additionally, teachers are 30% more likely to have a second job compared to coworkers who are not in the education field. That's really disappointing to hear as someone who's interested in going into education and seeing how much work and how much love teachers really put into their career. These teachers shape our future in the minds of the children who will create what we live in. Another problem with how low teachers are paid is that a low salary means that less teachers are going to be entering the workforce. Samantha Cleaver also found that in a Time poll, 76% of people said they would not go into an education career or field simply because of how little they paid. That's how you know it's a problem, because people who aren't even in education know that they aren't paid very well. Another interesting fact is that Jennifer Wagner on November 13th of 2019 found that teachers make 20% less than other college-educated students, which is sad considering many teachers have gotten bachelor's, master's, and a few even doctorates. That's a lot of money, time, and schooling essentially down the drain, and it's not motivating for teachers to go into this field. So now that I've described the problem, I'll offer my solution. My solution is the pay increase for educators, or the PIE plan. This plan is to create a set minimum wage for K-12 educators that will provide a livable income while taking into consideration families, pets, or dependents that they have relying on them. This also allows room for them to buy classroom supplies to properly supply their students with the materials they need for real success. Teachers being paid more means that teachers will be happier. Ben Davis on May 1st of 2021 in Why Teachers Should Be Paid More found that a 10% increase in pay is estimated to produce a 5 to 10% increase in student performance. This means if you have 5 teachers being paid 10% more, that's 5 times that percentage in student performance. This means the students will be more interested in their work as the teachers will be happier to be there. Some progress has already been made. Cindy Long on October 22nd of 2019 found that Maine and Illinois have already set a minimum wage of $40,000 for teachers. This is still not enough. It's below the average salary for teachers, therefore not much change has really happened. It's a step in the right direction, but there's more that we can do and there's more that we should do. So now that I've offered my solution, I'll visualize a school with my solution in place. I want you to imagine walking into a school where you don't have a geology teacher teaching physics and learning at the same time as the classes. That's what happened to me. I was really interested in physics, and our geology teacher, he had to Google the questions we had. He didn't know where things were in the book, and he had to solve the problems using Google the same time we had to. I want you to imagine growing high schools with growing students that can have enough teachers to have smaller classrooms so students can get more personalized and individualized learning. Additionally, I want you to realize that with teachers being paid more, the students will get a better education as well. So even if you don't care about how much money your teacher may make, do it for the students and do it for the kids. The teachers will be making more money, meaning they can provide better materials for student success, and the teachers will be more excited to work, making the students more excited to learn. So now that I've visualized my solution in place, I'm going to summarize. So first, I presented the problem with how little teachers are paid. Second, I offered my solution, the PIE plan. And third, I visualized the PIE plan in place. So overall, now that you know how little teachers are paid and how urgent of a problem this is, I strongly suggest that you all reach out to your local K-12 district officials and bring up this problem with them. Let them know that if not for the teachers, they're doing it for the students and for our futures. Thank you.
And our next speaker today is Matthew Montano.
In September of 2017, the city of Seattle installed 18 shiny new bike racks underneath a bridge set to be demolished in less than a year. Now, as you may expect, those bike racks were not installed to help cyclists, but as it turns out, they were actually there to deter homeless people from seeking the adequate shelter they needed. This is just one of hundreds of examples of anti-homeless architecture, and it is worldwide in almost every major city. Based on extensive research, I would like to persuade you in favor of the de-establishment of such cruel architecture via the proposal of a hostile architecture removal plan. And to prove this, I will be going into 3 main points. First, I will present the problems that anti-homeless architecture presents. Secondly, I will give a solution to do away with this cruel practice. And then third, I will visualize a major city with ease of accessibility in mind, thanks to the policy carried out. So first, anti-homeless architecture or hostile architecture presents a number of problems. First off, hostile architecture openly discriminates against homeless people, punishing people for those being down on their luck on a situation largely out of their control. I can't imagine many people would want to view themselves as homeless voluntarily. These examples can be very overt. Benches are a very good example of anti-homeless architecture. Have you ever been walking in a major city and you see benches with armrests in the middle? Or how about metal benches with those tiny holes interspersed? Or what about those uncomfortable benches at bus stops? All of those are meant to deter homeless people from sleeping on them. For example, the armrest is obvious case enough. It's to prevent a person from sleeping on there comfortably and adequately. Same thing with the leaning bus stop benches. However, the metal benches with the holes in them isn't an aesthetic choice. It's to not conduct heat, so homeless people have to seek shelter elsewhere. However, anti-homeless architecture can also be more subtle. For example, the bike racks underneath the bridge. For a person that doesn't know that the bridge is going to be demolished, this would just look like normal everyday city infrastructure. There's also random landscaping and sharp rocks in places where there's never any park space or foliage in mind meant to deter homeless people from sleeping there. And there are anti-homeless spikes just indiscriminately put up against some underpasses. Ethan Ritchie of Extra Credits, a general education YouTube channel with a focus on design, highlights the mosquito system. This means hostile architecture extends beyond just homeless people and into whatever the city describes as undesirable people. Multiple stores will install a mosquito system, which is a sound system that will emit a frequency that those above 25 cannot hear to deter vagrants or younger people from loitering around the place and thus discriminating against other people. However, hostile architecture also harms the people that need it most. Alex Andro of The Guardian writes that it cannot distinguish between those that it's meant to discriminate against and those who need it most and are marked as desirable, such as pregnant people, the elderly, or disabled people. Now that I've explained the issues with anti-homeless architecture, I propose a solution. Second is my simple solution: hostile architecture removal plan. This will do away with hostile architecture and instead divert those funds towards building that into solving the root causes of homelessness rather than sweeping it under the rug. This will obviously help the homeless and improve accessibility. Homelessvoice.org, a charity outreach organization for the homeless, reports that it costs taxpayers an average of $31,000 a year to criminalize and discriminate against one homeless person versus the cost of supportive housing for a year being only $10,000. This shows that there is a large budget that goes into discriminating against homeless people, a budget that could be used elsewhere. For example, helping with awareness for homeless causes and charities and infrastructure, and just improving accessibility for the homeless and improving knowledge. A city will often prioritize its image over its people, and it doesn't acknowledge the root causes, such as homeless veterans, drug abuse problems, or teenagers kicked out of their homes due to being LGBTQ. And it's possible to take down this architecture. Your voice does matter. Josh Cohen of The Guardian reports that a concerned citizen saw those bike racks in Seattle and filed a public disclosure request about them to the Seattle Department of Transportation. He got emails back, and sure enough, they confirmed that they were there to deter the homeless after police had to sweep out a homeless camp. Once he got hands on these emails, he leaked it to the press, who then leaked it to the public, and the public was outraged. They flooded the mayor's office with demands to take this architecture down, and soon enough, they had it deinstalled. Now that I've presented a solution, I would like to visualize an example of a major city with this policy put in place. This city would be free in a sense of equality, that nobody would be deemed as undesirable. Anybody could use any public space in any way they wish, so long as they are not breaking the law, and people are not punished simply for being human. They have the right to survive. Things will be accessible, such as shelter and adequate funds and charities, accessible not only to homeless people, but also to the people that are marked as more desirable conventionally, such as, again, the pregnant people, elderly, and disabled. And the homeless people will have more outlets for help than ever before. This will also improve the city's morale, as the city will be shown to be caring for its people more than its image. With all this in mind, I will summarize my points. First, I stated the problems that anti-homeless architecture presents. Second, I provided a simple and ethical solution. And third, I visualized some of the concepts at play that would work with a major city. I urge you to keep an eye out from city to city of hostile architecture, however subtle it may be, to find out what sector of the city is responsible for installing such architecture, gather support, and demand your mayor or other local government official to take down what equates to as cruel and unusual punishment.
And our next speaker is Jessica Meadows.
I'm sorry, I just don't feel too well. This is something that both students and teachers both experience throughout our years in college and in previous schooling. Using my research and personal experience, I want to persuade you that WSU should allow all students to have a physical and CAPS appointment every semester. For those of you who don't know, CAPS is the Counseling and Prevention Services located here at Wichita State University at the Steve Clark YMCA. I will present 3 main points. First, I'll present the problem with students not getting regular physicals and CAPS appointments. Second, I will present a solution. And third, I will visualize Wichita State University with the student body with my solution in place. First, I'll present the problem. By not having regular CAPS appointments, many students have diminishing academic success. A study issued by Mental Health Nurse found that 29% of students have elevated anxiety levels, while 27% have elevated stress levels, and 24% have elevated anxiety levels. This roughly equates to a quarter of the student body experiencing elevated levels in depression, anxiety, and stress. Another study by American College Health Associations surveyed specifically undergrads and found that 26% were so depressed that they had inability to function in their classes and outside of the school.
Mental health also directly impacts physical health. Childhood trauma and its effects on health comments about this by saying it's an unrecognized public health crisis, the link between trauma and physical health. Rebecca Meadows, a former mental health employee, comments on this by saying high stress factors leads to poor health and concentration. And long-term exposure, especially left unchecked, can lead to poor blood pressure and sleep deprivation. By not having regular physicals, it's also hard to find early signs of diseases. The Adverse Childhood Experience conducted a study and found that adults who have had trauma are 2.5 times more likely to develop lung disease, 2 times more likely to develop heart disease, and about twice as likely to develop autoimmune disease. Now that I've presented the problem, I will offer a solution. I offer the Shocks Health solution. By getting a CAPS appointment every semester, it's easier to monitor mental health changes. According to Emotional Intelligence, Belongingness, and Mental Health in College Students, the transition to college is associated with changes in existing relationships as well as declining support groups. But they comment an easy way to combat this is by taking preventative measures. By giving additional support, such as short-term counseling, it supports the overall well-being of targeted students. I myself have already had a physical and CAPS appointment this year, and I can guarantee that just talking to somebody about the anxiety and depression that may happen in college, as well as maintaining my physical health, I am able to focus on my schooling and my job outside of university. By also having regular physicals, it's easy to monitor physical changes and identify early signs of diseases and other illnesses. Now that I offered a solution, I will now visualize this policy in act. Third, I will visualize Wichita State University with the Shocks Health policy in action. Both students and faculty will now view mental and physical health as less of a luxury and more of a priority. With professors under this policy, it's easier to talk to them about other issues we're dealing with in our personal life, whether it be mental or physical problems, and that way we can stay on top of our schoolwork and other obligations. Campus overall will also be healthier, with students who have improved academic success and as well as emotional integrity that can be learned through other CAPS appointments. Now I will summarize. First, I presented the problem with not getting regular physicals and mental checkups. Second, I introduced the Shocks Health solution. And third, I visualized Wichita State University with the Shocks Health solution in place. I urge you to contact President Richard Muma at richard.muma@wichita.edu or call his office at 316-978-3010 and urge him to enact this policy, not just for us as current students, but also students in the future at WSU. Thank you.
All right, and our next speaker is Karen Arandu.
Thank you.
Certainly.
If you're looking to find a place in the RSC where you can get a taste of Asian food, where do you go to? Panda Express. How about some Indian food? Where do you go to? Chat House. Okay, how about I want some international food? Where do I go to? The International Cuisine and Dining. How about I want a taste of African food? Where do I go to? Nowhere, and that's the problem. I am a freshman student who is about completing my first semester at Wichita State University. I have access to charcuterie dining and all other cuisines on cafeterias in the RSC. I must say that I'm greatly impressed by their services. But however, I have not eaten a single African meal since I came to Wichita State University. This is why I feel the urge and the need to persuade you that Wichita State University should have an African cuisine on campus. I will present 3 main points. First, I will present the problem of insufficient food diversity on college campus. Secondly, I will present a solution to solve this issue of insufficient food diversity. And thirdly, I will visualize WSU's campus with my solution in place. First, there is a problem of insufficient food diversity on WSU College campus. Do you know that Wichita State University Diversity at WSU, wichita.edu, assessed on the 10th of November, says WSU is the most diverse university in Kansas and has a strong commitment to diversity as a core institutional and educational value. But may I ask, is our campus diverse enough? We have international cuisines on campus, but none of them offers African local delicacies. The international cuisine and charcuterie dining, you could get a taste of Italian or even Mexican food. Panda Express, you could get a taste of Asian food. Chat House, you could get a taste of Indian food, but there is no place where I can get a taste of African food. Another effect of this insufficient food diversity is seen in the poor adjustment to culture shock by Africans. Culture shock, you may ask. These are feelings of uncertainty, anxiety, especially when you move into a new environment. Do you know that Wichita State University International Student Union, wichita.edu, assessed on the 10th of November, says there are currently 1,500 international students enrolled at Wichita State University, representing 110 different countries. And Africans are a huge part of the numbers, but we don't have a food included on any campus menu. I give a story by Faith, a junior who is studying nursing at Wichita State University. She said one day she walked into the charcuterie dining and she saw they were serving what they call Nigerian melon. And she's a Nigerian herself. So she said, "Ma, please can I have some of the Nigerian melon?" And the lady said, "Oh, this is Nigerian melon. It's a rich part of your culture. It's a rich part of your tradition." And she said, "I've lived in Nigeria for about 10 years and I haven't eaten what they call Nigerian melon." How do you feel Faith is going to feel in that situation where her food may be misrepresented because there is no place where people can actually taste African food? And she said at the end of the semester, she decreased greatly in size due to improper eating habits. She said, and I quote, "As an international, the dining hall doesn't feel so inclusive because of the lack of diversity in the food prepared and served." Secondly, now that I explained the problem of insufficient food diversity, I will now offer you a solution. I present to you, my audience, the Afro-Shockers Cuisine solution. Building an African cuisine would encourage partnership with dining vendors offering food from several prominent cultures. In an article by the GW Hatchett, Students Need More Accessible Cultural Food Options, gwhatchett.com, assessed on the 9th of November. In a bid to improve their dining plan, they said they partnered with more dining vendors offering food from several different prominent cultures, not just the widely consumed food from cultures like Chinese, Italian, or Mexican. These vendors from different African countries is what an African cuisine will provide. They will also provide availability of food options that will promote ethnicity and diversity. Africans will be able to taste food from their various cultures, not just a particular African country. RCL and Passion blogs on food diversity on college campuses cites the psu.edu assessed on the 9th of November supports that college campuses should try to diversify their food options to include cultural foods from around the world. And this is going to really help in the adjustment of culture shock by Africans. Thirdly, I will now visualize the campus with my policy in place. The Afro-Showcase cuisine, I visualize WSU with a higher level of attraction for international students. RCL and Passion blog also supports that college campuses with sufficient food diversity and various types of innovative ethnic cuisines will create a higher level of attraction for our students, mostly internationals. It becomes a more inclusive place. GWHatchet.com also supports. Achurbi Lee, a writer and immigrant from Vietnam, says that food from childhood can promote warm feelings and good memories. And I'm sure we can all attest to this. I now also visualize WSU having more job opportunities for our students. We know as internationals, we are not allowed to work outside campus. So with a new Afro cuisine in place, we have new job opportunities. I will now summarize. First, I presented the problem of insufficient food diversity. Secondly, I offered the Afro-Showcase cuisine solution. And thirdly, I visualized the WSU's campus with the Afro-Showcase cuisine in place. I urge you, my audience, to please contact the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at 316-978-3034 and also reach out to our student governments at 316-978-3480 and if possible, our African and Caribbean Students Association. Let's do this so we can boldly say that I've eaten 10 different African meals, properly served and represented before graduating from Wichita State University. Thank you.
Okay, well, I have very much enjoyed hearing all of your speeches, and you're all to be congratulated very much. So I'd like to give all these speakers a round of applause. You spoke from the heart, your points were well researched, and they were very well delivered. That being said, it is my pleasure to announce Karen as our overall winner.